Jay Williams is here in the Rich Eisen Show studio to talk about the role reversal, not about 18 again. I believe that was a Kirk Cameron, George Burns film.
Your knowledge of films
I don't know.
very impressive.
How do you deal with that all the time? Look up 18 again, will you please?
I'm trying to do
Life is Not an Accident, one of the great memoirs that is available in bookstores and on Amazon near you. It's a radio audience. I'm holding it up for the television audience. It's Jay Williams there on the cover, and Jay Williams now physically here.
Rich, thanks for having me back again.
Studio. Good to see you. How do you go from losing a finals game by 30 to winning one by 30? How did that happen?
I fell asleep during the second quarter.
There you go.
I really did. I've fallen asleep during the second quarter of every NBA Finals.
Well, certainly people on the East Coast.
That's so embarrassing to say.
Certainly people on the East Coast have been kind of, I guess, thankful with these 9 o'clock tips.
I was on the West Coast and I fell asleep in the second quarter.
No good.
Well, real quick, just let me reference something about the book, because I try to keep it as honest and as real, as frank as possible. And I feel like I like the way our generation is going with what athletes are saying. Now, we may not agree with all this stuff, right? But about Kevin Durant calling somebody an idiot, right? Or the fact I heard you guys talking about this before, Cam Newton after the game. I want more real, authentic reactions from athletes.
Absolutely.
Because before, I'll tell you how we were at Duke, right? And this is not anything against Duke. Duke is an unbelievable culture. Coach K is one of the best of all times.
Yes.
But we were taught how to always be politically correct. And when you're politically correct, I'm not telling you truly how I feel. So regardless of whether Cam gets a negative reaction or what the repercussions are, at least we get a chance to see how much it hurts Cam Newton to lose in a game like that. Regardless of whether all the shenanigans about his reveal or all the new stuff we talk about, I like that true, real spirit of an athlete.
Well, the issue with that is, and this is, by the way, coming from a Cam lover.
Okay.
All right? The issue is that all year long he was saying, if you don't like my smile, wipe it off my face. Denver wiped it off his face, and then he could not sit there and be frank about what happened in the game. It was him just,
Rich, I agree with you.
You know, giving 1 or 2 word answers, and it comes across as not taking full responsibility for the year-long, if you don't like what I've done, stop me from doing it. It sort of undercuts that.
Okay. I hear you.
That mentality.
How old is Cam?
Exactly. I got you.
So my thing is, because he's Cam Newton, because when you win and everything goes well, you know, we expect Cam to be mature. All right, so just because we're pushing these athletes in the spotlight and they're able to do these things athletically that we've never seen before, which, by the way, we should get used to that. That's going to be a common occurrence amongst all these athletes who are Kevin Durant. Doesn't mean they're going to handle every situation in a mature-like manner. So I don't know. I don't know how I would be at his age if I lost the NBA Finals or the NCAA championship, and I hear my opponent literally right next door yapping about how they were going to stop me and gloating about it. I don't know how I would react in that moment. I might get out of the press conference and walk away. Is it the right thing? No, but at least I know that in this moment, like, yeah, you know what? It's a crappy feeling, but I'm going to take that and it's going to drive me next year.
Jay Williams here in the Rich Eisen Show studio. All right, now let's get to the finals.
Okay.
Because you said you fell asleep on it.
I did.
But, I mean, why is there such a disparity? There have been 19 playoff games. The last 19 playoff games have won by 7 or more points. So it's a 3-possession game, essentially, the last 19 playoff games.
This is nothing new for Cleveland. I mean, they're always getting their tail smacked on the road, right? We saw that in Toronto. We saw that in multiple places, right?
Yes.
They defend home court very well. And you can sit there and make an argument that they're better matched up against Golden State without Kevin Love. They are. And I'm telling you this right now. I'm not saying I'm on Kevin Love's level. I have one leg out there. I feel like I can get by Kevin Love. Have you ever watched him defensively? He's active and he tries, but it's bad. It puts him in difficult rotations. So when you start RJ, Richard Jefferson at the 3, you start LeBron at the 4, which allows him to match it with Draymond Green, and then that's Tristan Thompson, who you can utilize him and switch him in every pick and roll opportunity. He was guarding Stephen Curry on the perimeter last night with lateral quickness like he was a guard, Rich. I mean, you have to toughen the game up. You have to make the game like you're similar to the Detroit Pistons in order to beat Golden State.
Well, that sort of defense on the 3-point arc was what Oklahoma City was able to do over and over again with multiple players, not just one like Tristan Thompson. So if that is the case, what happens when Love is cleared? What do you do if you're Tyronn Lue?
Well, just because he's cleared doesn't mean he has to play.
True.
I don't let him play. I like to see how this rotation finishes out.
At all? You don't let him play at all?
I see how the rotation is working without him, and if I feel like we need him. Look, the objective here is to win a championship. The objective is not to make sure that Kevin Love feels happy. Like, he'll feel happy if you win a championship, right? Now, look, you still have to use as many guys as possible, but a collection of things happened the other night. They were able to rotate very well, okay? Defensively, they were great in the perimeter. Kyrie Irving was great. He wasn't hurt. He wasn't in last year's series. And we had a J.R. Smith sighting. When J.R. Smith shoots the ball well, he creates a momentum for this team that they didn't have in series past when he just kind of flames out. They need him to play with that kind of energy. I mean, even this shot at half court before the half,
yes,
right before I closed my eyes, right? That's the one thing that almost woke me up. I said, oh. They didn't count it, but still, you felt the energy in that building because of what he brings to the table.
Right. And so the Steph Curry aspect of it.
You got to beat him up, Rich.
Well, what's wrong with him? Is that a phrase? Is that an appropriate way to title this? Or what do you think is up with Steph Curry?
I don't think anything's up with Steph Curry. I think, a lot of people, I heard the caller on before I came on was saying that, LeBron is built to endure more of the physicality of the league. Mm-hmm. I understand that. But if you watch the way Stephen plays, he doesn't get hit all the time, mm-hmm. right? He's able to float on the perimeter. But I think that's the only way Cleveland can win this series is there's a difference when I play. And I'm not Stephen Curry or Klay Thompson, but as a guard. Right? The one thing I love as a guard, because my game now is based around my three-point shot. When I go play in all the Jewish YMCA leagues that I play mm-hmm. in New York, because I like to feel confident about myself when I leave. Okay. I like having. That's a real statement.
No, go for it.
That's a fair statement. I like having space, right? So if I can have space, that allows me to shoot. If I don't have space, you crowd my space and you put an elbow on my chest,
yes.
and all of a sudden I feel my back's all of a sudden turned to the basket. That's the way they're going to win the series if they can maintain that kind of defensive energy 24/7. Jay
Williams here on the Rich Eisen Show. So Curry being bottled up as he is, mm-hmm. and if you put LeBron on Draymond and maybe try and remove him, is this a Klay Thompson? Things fall on his shoulders? What are the Warriors' adjustments for Game 4 here that you think needs to be done? Or there's really no adjustments anymore, it's just...
I think Steve Kerr said it perfectly the other day. This game is all about mentality. I mean, you felt that Cleveland had their back against the wall. And you would hope that a veteran team like Golden State would be able to take it to Cleveland in Cleveland. But it seemed as Golden State seemed very comfortable, almost lethargic to a point where it's like, hey, we're just out here. They just need to find a way to play with that energy. And regardless of whatever people say, I know it's the NBA Finals, you play this amount of games in a year, you're mentally tired. Get alone physically, you're mentally tired of how you play. I think they just need to wake up a little bit. I still see Golden State winning this whole thing.
In what? How many?
I see Golden State winning this in 6.
So they do win a game in Cleveland?
Yes, I think they get one in Cleveland.
Do they get in the next one in Cleveland, or do they wrap it up in Cleveland? Well, obviously, you just said if they get one in Cleveland in 6,
I think they get, yeah. Or maybe 5. I think if they get this one in Cleveland, I think they'll get the one at home.
Well, if they get this one in Cleveland, I think it's over.
It's over. So are you taking Cleveland or are you taking Golden State?
I'm taking the Warriors in 7. I don't
7? You think it's going Game 7?
2 of the next 3 games are in Cleveland.
Yep.
I think we've seen, that the Warriors, what they have looked like in Cleveland, and how difficult it is in Cleveland. That's the way I'm looking at it right now. It's 7. And I've been taking the Warriors all year, and I think it'll be very tough for Cleveland to win a game in Golden State. I just don't see that one happening. I don't know how it would happen. I mean, Curry would have to be way off for something like that to be happening, and he is way off right now. I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it right now.
I see an interesting issue if Golden
7.
State wins it or not, but it's going to be fascinating to watch because when they play with their bigs, it's almost like Cleveland was able to dominate. I mean, they dominated the boards. It was like 55 to like 30 or something last night, and all this stuff from free agency with Kevin Durant. It's going to be interesting to watch what happens with Harrison Barnes, restricted free agent. What happens with Leandro Barbosa? I mean, he's unrestricted. They're going to have a lot of pieces that they're going to need to fill. Mm-hmm. I would not put it past KD that he may end up in Golden State.
Well, what was that, Brockman, about? Who said it? Was it Windhorst?
I feel like it was Windhorst.
Or somebody else. I forget who said that there's no way he would ever join an Under Armour team. That Steph is an Under Armour guy and he would never show up on a team where the number 1 guy is Under Armour.
I don't care what shoe brand you win. We start winning championships, that trumps everything. No pun intended with Donald Trump.
Nice. But with Curry, before we take a break here, where do you stand on the subject that he doesn't get nearly the amount of criticism that if LeBron, who was criticized first 2 games of this series, LeBron, Kobe, other guys, played the way that Steph has played the first 3 games, they'd be receiving far more criticism than Steph has received.
Because when I look at Stephen Curry, I look at him like I'm looking at you, right? I look at him like I'm looking at these guys over here. He looks human. If you're on the court, and I hope every fan gets this opportunity, Rich, because I feel like, when you're on the field, right, football field,
yes,
you see how big and how fast guys are. You're on the basketball court, if you ever get a chance to meet LeBron James, like I feel like I am mini-me, okay? Like, he is massive. He's 6'9", 265, 270. It's like he has Superman powers. You automatically think of that way. When I meet Stephen Curry, I feel like he's almost my little brother. I can put my arm around him. Like, he's frail. Like, I'm bigger than him. I'm like, how do you do that? So I think reasonable people look at him and say, well, what he's doing is so impressive. Do we expect him to do that consistently? He expects it. But when you look at LeBron, the way he's built for the long run, like your fan just said. He's built to do spectacular things 24/7. I think that's why there's a criticism that comes along with the territory of being LeBron James. Plus, he's been chosen as, he's King James. He's like, you didn't hear Stephen Curry come into the league proclaiming himself as the next great.
Well, that's why I was saying, too, earlier, maybe before you arrived here, that this is the first time Curry may not be living up to expectations of his entire career. He's always exceeded them,
exactly,
matched them, and even when he did win the MVP last year, he even exceeded the way that he played last year in the first 2/3 of the season. So this might be the first time we've ever seen him, if he does lose this series, disappoint.
Well, if they do lose the series, or if they win the series, nobody's going to care if he dropped 34 or not. I mean, you'll be talking about the fact he's a 2-time NBA champion and a 2-time MVP.
Jay Williams is here. We're back with more here on The Rich Eisen Show. 844-204-RICH is the number to dial. John Solomon of CBSSports.com. He met with Jim Harbaugh, went to one of Jim Harbaugh's satellite camps. We're going to get it straight from boots on the ground in hour 3 with Donald Faison also in studio. But more chat with Jay Williams when we come back. Welcome back to The Rich Eisen Show. Jay Williams is here. Did you meet Ali at the Olympics?
I met Ali in 1996 in Atlanta. I was 15 years old.
So you were not at the Olympics. It was just happened to be
there,
Atlanta.
Just happened to be there. My dad worked for American Express, so we were in this little suite. And I'll never forget what he said to me. He patted me on the head and said, "Black is beautiful," and kind of walked away. And I was like, I didn't know what that meant. I had no idea what that meant. And my dad, kind of when we went back home later on, made me hear like one of his speeches where he said, "I'm black and I'm beautiful." And my dad kind of broke down the story. He's like, that's the first celebrity, during that time, during segregation and all these different racial tensions, that just spoke up and actually had a voice that mattered. It was a voice of substance. And it kind of changed the narrative for what a celebrity truly was back then. It was powerful. It was extremely powerful.
Just 3 words, it's what he said.
Black is beautiful. Patted me.
On the head.
On the head.
Were you aware of whom Ali was?
No,
or his
my dad.
significance when he walked up to you when you were 15?
No, for me, I had no idea about it. I just, I thought he was an older guy. His hands were like shaking during that time, and
sure,
I didn't really think much about it. Like a lot of kids, you hear about things, but you don't know who these people are. It wasn't the age of social media back in '96. We didn't have all these things going out virally, so. I only had heard a couple of stories from friends' parents or stuff like that. So it was not until we sat down afterwards and I was like, wow, okay. Like, you start doing research on people, you see who they are.
Who's the guy that Coach K brought in to just speak to the team ever, or anything like that? Or is there anybody that Coach K would bring in or be around?
No, you know what? Coach K was always good at doing his own.
He did it himself. You need to bring anybody in.
Rich, there's this one story. It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this before. So it's before one of our first games, and it was during the time when the movie Gladiator came out, okay? One of my all-time favorite movies, by the way.
Okay.
So we're all sitting in a row like this, okay? We're all sitting down like this, and there's a huge screen in front of us, and there's a doorway to the left. And the screen comes on, all the lights go off, and it's a part where, he's riding back in front of his crew, and he says, if you're dead, don't worry about it. For you are in Elysium, something like that, one of those lines like that. And they all get up and they go to battle. The lights come on, we're all ready to go. Out of nowhere, there's an arrow that comes on fire, from the doorway, hits a dartboard. Okay, so we're all like this. Like, what the hell's going on? It's an arrow on fire. An actual flaming arrow
went through the dude.
Okay, through the door to the side, hits the dartboard here. We're sitting there like, wow, this is really happening. What's happening? And out of nowhere, there's a Solution basketball, right? It had Solution on the side. And it was like these old kind of balls, and the ball started to roll in through the doorway. So arrow on fire, ball rolling in, we're all focused on the ball, and out of nowhere, Coach K runs in the room and dives on the ball. He's wrestling with the ball like it's a bear, okay? And he's like, effing fight with me. And everybody gets up and everybody's like, yeah! And everybody runs out of the room. My shoelace literally snaps. I come back in the room. All I see, Coach K on the ground. My hip. He apparently threw his hip out. And he's like, just get out there. I didn't even get out there. And it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. And he came out there, he coached the game, and we won the game. But
this was pre-game?
This was pre-game. He does, you have to ask any Duke player that you ever have come on here, have them tell you one of the funniest pre-game stories of all time, because he does this stuff every year. He comes up with his own stuff. And he gets so into it. He always say, I have goosebumps. I get goosebumps talking about this. Huh. It takes him to a different place.
So did he see Gladiator, you think, or did somebody?
Oh, he's seen Gladiator. He's seen every. I mean, he's an Army guy.
Okay.
So he's a West Point grad. So if there's any movie that deals with war, he's seen it.
So he says, "Come fight with me." He gets an arrow to flame up and throw in there. Come fight with me. You guys all go run out
disperse,
there, but you come back in
because at the chain shoes, still on the ground. In the same position, holding the basketball. I can't use, because last time I got reprimanded for using bad terminology on the show, so I will refrain from doing so this time. But he unleashed hell on me.
Oh, my
It was one of the best moments ever.
Jay Williams, man, I love when you come on this show. You don't come on often enough, let's just put it that way. And you come on often, but I'd love to have you back.
One quick question for you.
Yeah, sure.
Because I know him, Von Miller. Do you wait to be the highest paid person at your position?
It'll get worked out.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He deserves to get paid more than J.J. Watt or Ndamukong Suh, right?
I think so. That's what the market bears, because he's up. He's up. If he's up and the market bears it out, he should get more.
So why even float the number of 114.5 million?
Just because it's all negotiating. It's all negotiated.
That's such a game.
It's going to all work out.
That's
the way it always does.
I want to get your opinion on
It's going to work out.
Okay.
But you got to play a game.
I hear you.
It's politics, just like everything else. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, too.
Jay Williams right here on The Rich Eisen Show.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.